Everyone hates Joe Biden, it seems. And it seems to be because he's a tyrant, just outspoken. He hates you and your freedoms, and he wants you to do as you're told. And if you're not going to do as you're told, well, then you're part of the problem. I mean, you're probably going to end up wearing golden stars by the end of this. But yeah, so let's hear how he talks about unvaccinated people. Let's play the first clip.
Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated, even though the vaccine is safe, effective, and free. Nearly 3/4 of the eligible have gotten at least one shot, but 1/4 has not gotten any. That's nearly 80 million Americans not vaccinated. And a country as large as ours, that's 25% minority. That 25% can cause a lot of damage, and they are. The path ahead, even with the Delta variant, is not nearly as bad as last winter. But what makes it incredibly more frustrating is that we have the tools to combat COVID-19, and a distinct minority of Americans, supported by a distinct minority of elected officials, are keeping us from turning the corner.
As the mid-century Germans might point out, those people are Jews. That's the way he's describing them. A dangerous minority that's causing a tremendous amount of trouble. And if it wasn't for this minority, well, we'd be able to turn the corner, even though it's not as bad. As he just said, the Delta's not that bad. So it's like, okay, why?
Well, he also just spread, again, medical misinformation. The
Yes.
idea that we have the tools to control COVID.
No, we don't.
The vaccine doesn't stop the spread.
No.
As they have said many a time.
No. And so the problem is this dangerous minority that's causing them so many problems. Let's play the second clip.
While the vaccines provide strong protection for the vaccinated, we read about and hear about and we see the stories of hospitalized people on their deathbeds among the unvaccinated over the past few weeks. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. These pandemic politics, as I refer to, are making people sick, causing unvaccinated people to die. We cannot allow these actions to stand in the way of protecting the large majority of Americans who have done their part and want to get back to life as normal.
That's weird. So the unvaccinated are putting the vaccinated in danger. The large majority presumably meaning the vaccinated, because 3/4 have had the vaccine. How are they putting them at risk? What is the risk here? They're doing it to themselves, and Joe Biden is angry with this. How dare you do this to yourselves? It's a very, very peculiar thing, because it's not like he doesn't think the vaccines protect people. If we can play the third clip.
Vaccines provide very strong protection from severe illness from COVID-19. I know there's a lot of confusion and misinformation, but the world's leading scientists confirm that if you're fully vaccinated, your risk of severe illness from COVID-19 is very low. But as the science makes clear, if you're fully vaccinated, you're highly protected from severe illness, even if you get COVID-19. In fact, recent data indicates there is only one confirmed positive case per 5,000 fully vaccinated Americans per day. You're as safe as possible. And we're doing everything we can to keep it that way. Keep it that way. Keep you safe. That's where boosters come in.
Doesn't make any sense. How are the unvaccinated putting the vaccinated at risk through his own logic if the vaccines protect you from COVID, which I'm sure they do?
It doesn't.
I'm not saying it does, but through his own logic, right? I'm not making a claim either way. He's saying that the vaccines keep you safe. The unvaccinated are causing troubles because they're putting the majority at risk, but the majority have been vaccinated. So why is that a problem? They're doing it to themselves. Okay, well, that's their choice, isn't it? It's about their personal freedom, isn't it? No, let's play the fourth clip.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you, the people you work with, the people you care about, the people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated. My message to unvaccinated Americans is this: what more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see? We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine has FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
Cost what? Like, as far as he's concerned, the vaccines protect the vaccinated from COVID. So the unvaccinated are not a threat to the vaccinated in his worldview. Why is his patience wearing thin? Why is this such a big deal? It seems that he's just mad with power at this point. I just can't understand. I mean, have you got any theories on this? Like,
No.
it just seems insane. Like a power-mad tyrant.
I don't even get his point of, like, what more do you need to see? Like, yeah, everyone knows that you can get this. Here's what the death rates are. Exponentially gets higher as you get older. And equally, the younger you are, exponentially lower risk you are.
Yeah.
Well, therefore, people have made their decision about whether or not to do it. That's their decision.
Yeah.
End of story.
But it's not about their freedom.
No.
It's about him making sure that even children are vaccinated, even though there's virtually no threat to children whatsoever. But he says, what more do you need? Our patience is wearing thin. This refusal has cost all of us. I mean, it just strikes me that, there might be a bunch of Americans who are waiting to see the end of tyranny, like this weird coercive state that's come in. And so they don't want to get it just in the principle. And if we can get to the next one, because it's so strange that the way that he's framing this, like, if these governors, he's talking about like DeSantis in Texas and governors of Texas and places like that, won't help us beat the pandemic, I'll use my power as president to get them out of the way. Is that federalism? Is that what, the
Is
state...
that even legal in the US?
Yeah, exactly. How does he do that? What's his power as president going to be? Is he going to use the military? Is he going to executive order governors out of existence? What's his plan? This is not federalism. This is continental despotism. And so if we go on to just him talking about the vaccine mandate, it's very interesting, this, right? So the New York Times reported that the mandate will apply to employees of the executive branch, including the White House, federal agencies, and members of the armed services. And so that's more than 4 million people, but not to those who work for Congress or the court system. It's interesting, isn't it?
What's the difference between those two?
That's a good question, right? So the reason workers outside the executive branch are exempt is because Biden is implementing the mandate via executive order, because he's just being his little continental tyrant about it. And this means that Biden can't impose a vaccine mandate on Congress via an executive order or an agency or department regulation. And Pelosi has said the House will not enact a vaccine mandate. So they could vote for it for themselves.
But they won't do that.
But Biden will impose it on businesses of 100 or more employees. Why that number? Who knows? Seems arbitrary. And it seems because he believes that the vaccinated are protected from the unvaccinated. But the troublesome minority of the unvaccinated need to be brought to heel for some reason. It's really weird. But if he's asked, say, well, what about those people you're letting through the southern border in the hundreds of thousands? If we can get the next one, John, it turns out that it doesn't matter at all. And so when Jen Psaki is asked by Ducey, one of the journalists, vaccines are required for people at a business with more than 100 people. Is it not a requirement for the migrants to the border? Why? She just says that's correct and then moves on to the next question. She doesn't even address that. No, we don't need it for the hundreds of thousands of people who are coming into the country illegally.
This is only for people who apply the law.
It's only for the people who apply the law. It's a very, very strange state of affairs. And it just makes them look like they are drunk with power. In fact, if we play the next clip, this is just a Republican strategist on CNN. Again, Republican strategist. That was a different one. Sorry, this isn't a Republican strategist. But let's just play this clip.
It's unfortunate that we have so many governors that are using vaccinations and mask requirements as a political game. But our purpose is to save lives, and we will do anything and everything under our control to make sure that we protect our citizens, especially those children who cannot get a vaccination yet. And so we have to do everything we can to make sure adults do it. And those governors that stand in the way, I think it was very clear from the president's tone today that he will run over them.
That's a Biden strategist.
Talking about how we need to vaccinate children because children can't get the vaccine. So
No. We need to vaccinate adults and do everything we can to run over them because children are unable to get vaccines, even though they're not really at risk.
Nor are they meant to. I mean, in the UK, our local health authority deemed it not necessary.
Yes.
They said it was the benefits are undermined by the costs.
Yes. And there was a recent report that suggested the vaccine was actually more dangerous to children than the actual disease. So it's just like,
Which isn't surprising because it's exponentially lower.
of course. But it's just like, right, what a weird thing. If we can go back to that previous thread, if we can just scroll down a bit, because there are more clips in it. I don't want to play them, but let's just
Tom
scroll
Elliott
down.
does a good job of finding all the stuff.
Yeah, he does. So this is a Republican strategist that was saying that Biden should impose vaccines with an iron fist. And it's just weird how he just says someone's world is going to get smaller and I don't want it to be mine. Why does anyone's world have to get smaller? If the vaccines are protecting those people who are afraid of the disease, they can get vaccinated and then they're fine, aren't they? And those people who don't want to get vaccinated, for whatever reason, even if it's literally just, I don't want the government tyrannizing me, and so I'm just not going to do it, well, they should be fine to do it anyway, because the vaccine's been offered to everyone. What's the problem here? It doesn't make sense. And if you can scroll down, there's another, blue checkmark talking head. Biden forcing virtually all American workers to be vaccinated doesn't go far enough. How much further can it go? Like, what does she want?
Another lockdown, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Chinese lady there. She's insane, by the way. But anyway, so this isn't making Joe Biden very popular, and it's really amusing. Like, Jack Posobiec put up this clip where it's two clips just juxtaposed, where he's speaking in New York, and he's literally saying none of them were shouting or complaining. Every one of them were thanking me, juxtaposed with the clip of people literally shouting at him. He's just like in this delusional world. No, I mean, maybe he couldn't hear it. Maybe he's just so old and senile and he didn't have his hearing aid in or something. They literally couldn't hear them booing, but they're booing everywhere, right? So the F Joe Biden chants are continuing around the country, in obviously the red states, but in college football, so these are packed out stadiums. Again, if you can scroll down, you can see the number of people.
Is that part of tradition? Yeah,
just F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden. It's the second week running now. This has continued. So as we reported last week, this happened. And so let's just carry on. When, just to be clear for anyone who forgot that he's tanking the polls, well, we can see how he's tanking the polls. It's not. If we can scroll down a bit, I think there's a graph. There we go. See, it's not getting any better. It's just getting worse. So 45% approve, 49% disapprove. And so it means that he's in the same position as the other Build Back Better world leaders, that when they go somewhere in public, they just get booed. And the next one is obviously on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Biden goes to the 9/11 memorial and people just start booing him. And he just ignores them. He just goes over. At this point, people are just literally audibly just boo, boo around him. And so he goes off to sniff a child or whatever it is that he does. So this is just bizarre. And the narrative that they're spinning around 9/11 just very quickly as a tangent is very peculiar. Like you can see this one from, again, another verified checkmark. On the 6th of January 2021, 9/11 ceased being the worst thing that had happened to America in my lifetime. It's really weird and painful to process and say that, but it's the truth. And quite frankly, it's not even close. I mean, what delusional nonsense. Who does she think she's persuading here? To suggest that, like, a bunch of boomers walking politely through the Capitol building is worse than terrorists blowing up the Twin Towers and 3,000 people dying. It's just obvious falsehood.
Does she care about Ashley Babbitt that much?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, was she related to her? But this is, we're purely in Chernobyl territory here, right? Where it's like there's no graphite on the roof. No, you didn't see graphite on the roof. No, it was worse than 9/11. Obviously, it was. It's like just look at the number of bodies. It's pure party political line now, right? But anyway, so going back to the vaccines, I just find this whole thing really interesting. For some reason, the healthcare workers aren't getting vaccinated, and they don't know why, right? Nearly 1 in 3 unvaccinated workers are in the nation's 50 largest hospitals. Reasons cited include uncertainty over safety, preference for physiological immunity, distrust of government and health organisations, and autonomy and personal freedom.
What those are said with disdain almost.
Yeah.
They distrust the government.
Yeah, I mean, why would they? They're only a bunch of insane tyrants. The monthly... blah, blah. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's just really interesting how the health workers often don't trust this. And so there's a lack of vaccinated nurses. In one county hospital in Lowville, New York, they're apparently going to stop delivering babies. I'm not sure Mother Nature
In the name
works
of health.
that way. In the name of health, we're not going to deliver your babies because apparently the maternity ward employees quit rather than being forced to get the vaccine. According to what, 6 employees in the unit resigned, another 7 are undecided about getting the shot. And so they're just not going to be able to deliver babies. Don't know what these women are going to do.
So, like, the hospitals are overwhelmed. Quick, fire the nurses. Like, that's the response.
Tyrannize the nurses. Oh, they're firing. They're leaving. We'll fire them then. So, okay. But anyway, and you get, videos like this next one. There's a random TikTok video, but the woman's like, look, I've done nothing wrong and you're not firing me. Why do I have to leave? And it's obviously because she hasn't had the jab. And she doesn't understand why. All of this is nonsense. But anyway, moving on.
I haven't quit. Either you fire me or I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're not going to fire you. And it's like, well, I'm not leaving then, am I?
Yeah.
Eventually, they do end up firing her in the next video I saw from this one.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, what else do they have to do? But anyway, so, and I think that the blue check marks on Twitter, and I do think Twitter is a big component of this insanity, frankly, because I think there's a lot of misinformation that's being spread on Twitter. You get things like this from Stephen King. 1,200 dead of COVID yesterday in Florida. Not for a total for a week or a month, but one single day. That's not true. 97,000 likes. 97,000 likes.
Just top comment there. This is a blatant lie and disinformation.
And that's correct. Only 9,000 likes. Like, it really is true that the lie travels around the world before the truth can get its boots on. Thank you, Mr. King, right? I think that he's, again, just in this deranged fight mentality that Twitter brings on, where he's probably thinking about the entire US. So if you look at the COVID deaths, you go down. So the 7-day average for the last week or so has been 1,600. You see that's ticked up slightly. So he was probably thinking about the entire US in one day, which is 1,200. But I mean, it's 350 million people or so. Yeah, and that's not including, well, maybe something like that with illegals and things like that. But, so it's not too surprising. But the result of all of this bizarro tyranny and weird vanguardism from Biden's administration is people just being like, look, I'm leaving the left. Bill Maher is he's been a staunch, like, traditional liberal on all of this. And I love his perspective on it. Still a fan of Bill Maher. He says, to me, when people say to me sometimes like, boy, you go after the left a lot these days. And he says, why? Because you're embarrassing me. That's why I'm going after the left in a way I never did before. This is how I used to feel when I used to consider myself on the left, right? Because you're inverting things. I'm not going to give up on being a liberal. This is what the teachers are talking about. That you're taking children and making them hyper-aware of race in a way they shouldn't be and other things. Not surprising. And so you get academics like Peter Boghossian, who resigned from his position at Portland State. A few years ago, I went out to Portland State, did a live event with Peter Boghossian, and he said, look, I'm not going to resign. They're trying to force me out because they'd moved his office from, whatever floor it was on to the basement. And so he's literally... Yeah, I know.
Like Office Space, the movie.
Like Office Space, literally... Like Office Space.
Did he burn the place down on the way out? Or?
No, he didn't, as far as I'm aware. But only metaphorically. But honestly, it was literally like Office Space, where it was a janitor's closet, and his desk is in there. And I'm just like, why is this happening? They're trying to force me out, and I'm not going. But eventually, of course, he has done. But I don't blame him. It's open bullying of a dissident academic. And Rose McGowan, of course, has been very vocal against what's happening in the left-wing controlled spaces in places like Hollywood.
I'm actually familiar with her. I don't remember her.
Well, she's an actress who was clearly abused by some people, and she said she went on Jimmy Dore's stream a few weeks ago. Man, that was spicy, and he deleted that stream, so I can't even show you clips of it. Oh. It was like there were statements made that were controversial, but she's just come out and endorsed Larry Elder, saying, "Why not put a stake in the heart of evil? Because that's what it is: good versus evil." Larry Elder's good. They're evil. It's like Christ on a bike.
I mean, not wrong. I mean, when they're wearing monkey masks and throwing eggs at you.
Yeah. If you're going to harass a black man, just don't wear a gorilla mask. Just don't. Just wear any other kind of mask. just don't wear a gorilla mask if you're a Democrat. Like, or anyone.
I know it's in your
really,
nature, but resist.
But then we said that they'll probably return to the clan hoods, won't they? So anyway, so yes. The final thing then is just them saying, oh, look, it's the anniversary of 9/11. Where's Donald Trump? So, well, he's not the president. Why does he have to be there? Why would he be with these people that all hate him and they're all bad people who are generally becoming more and more unpopular by the day?
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to prelotuseaters.com and get access to all our premium content.
Things like our book club, where we examine classics like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and examine the themes that underpin it, and how we're getting worryingly close to that, or modern books like Mark Sidwell's The Long March, which is how exactly we ended up in the current cultural situation we're in and what conservatives can do about it. Or you can check out the other series we have, such as our Contemplation series, where Hugo and Josh decided to, in the latest one, have a look at an examination on the ways that other elections have been rigged for no reason at all. Or you can check out our Epoch series, which is one of my personal favorites because this is where I get to talk about history. And I love talking about just random things from history. And one of the great things we can do with this series is talk about those things that aren't so often discussed. So, I mean, you can talk about Xerxes' army, the vast army that invaded Greece during the Greco-Persian Wars. Or we can go through things like Herodotus' view on the Scythians. Who are they? You probably don't know, but they used to be quite an important people a long time ago, and they're very, very interesting. We've got some really good reports about them. Or we've got premium podcasts, which is things we generally don't want to put outside of the paywall because we might get in trouble for them, such as the list of things that Alex Jones was right about. Or we do just very interesting discussions because there are things that we do lots of work on. Another one is that I'm particularly proud of is where Christopher Hitchens, the famous new atheist, would have fallen during the modern culture wars, because he probably wouldn't have been very woke. But we also have lots of interviews and articles and other things on the website that you can sign up to enjoy, and we're really proud of them.
So if any of that sounds good to you, go over to lotuseaters.com and sign up for as little as £5 a month to support us keep the show going, and also to get access to all the content. Thank you and goodbye.